The secret language of safety. 6 words that speak to your cat's soul. The universal signal of connection. The 6 specific words that compel your cat to run to your side without fail. That is the pledge of our episode today, and just saying it aloud invites a sense of wonder. Why do such basic, everyday sounds possess such magnetic influence over our feline companions? Here is a little hint to get us started. One of these words is effective not because of its acoustic properties, but because your cat ties it to a profound sense of emotional security that you might have never consciously realized you were creating. Welcome back to Meowrange, our intimate, podcast-style corner of the internet where we uncover captivating facts, touching narratives, and unexpected revelations about the cats we cherish. I am genuinely delighted you've joined us today, because the topic we are navigating is something every cat guardian deserves to grasp in a way that is gentle, reassuring, and emotionally resonant. Before we fully immerse ourselves, let me invite you to support this session with a like and a subscribe. Do this not for the sake of the channel, but for your own benefit. When you engage, you signal to the algorithm that you are seeking more content that aids you in constructing a calmer, tighter, and more affectionate bond with your cat. And please, tell me in the comments, does your cat already have a strong reaction to specific words you use? I read through every single message, and I would love the chance to respond to your personal story. Understanding how cats listen. Now, let's investigate how cats actually process the human voice. Cats do not comprehend vocabulary in the linear way humans do. Instead, they are tuned into tone, cadence, emotional patterns, and the reliability of the noises we project in their vicinity. When you speak, your cat is not parsing your grammar. They are feeling it, absorbing the emotional temperature concealed within your vocal cords and determining if coming closer feels safe, enjoyable, and beneficial. Number 1. Come. Come stands as one of the most lucid signals a cat can identify. Not because they grasp the dictionary definition, but because it's brief. Rounded structure is effortless for feline ears to separate from ambient chaos. Cats possess extraordinarily acute hearing, designed to pick up frequencies far above human limits, and they have a natural bias towards sounds that are smooth, unobstructed, and clear. When you articulate come with a soft, upward inflection, your cat decodes it as a gentle request rather than a rigid order, and requests are crucial. Cats prefer to opt into connection, not be forced into it. When you utilize this word regularly and with kindness, linking it to peaceful intervals, slow blinks, or tender movements, your cat begins constructing a positive emotional map centered on that specific sound. That map transforms into a direct highway leading back to you. Number 2. Hear. Hear functions differently than come, yet it is just as potent. Its piercing initial consonant and the elongated, sliding vowel make it a sonic beacon that cats can pinpoint instantly, even from a different room. Many guardians instinctively elongate the word hear, and without even knowing it, they are deploying one of the most efficient feline attention signals available. Cats forge emotional links based on recurrence and context. If hear consistently happens before gentle petting, a delicious snack, or just your comforting nearness, your cat starts to comprehend that this distinct noise flags a moment of solace. When you sit on the floor, pat the carpet softly, and say here in a lulling rhythm, observe your cat's microreactions. The flick of an ear, the slow closing of eyes, the twitch of a tail. These diminutive shifts are evidence of recognition, piqued interest, and blossoming trust. As you rehearse these first 2 words, focus closely on how your cat subtly adjusts in response. Occasionally, the tiniest signals unveil the grandest truths: a halted step, a cocked head, a softening of the eyes. These are the instants when your cat is authentically listening, not to your syllables, but to the emotion fueling them. Please share what you observe in the comments. I want to hear every specific detail because every cat is unique, and your observation might assist another cat parent watching this video. The power of energy over vocabulary. However, there is something even more vital to grasp before we proceed. Words by themselves do not summon a cat. Your energy does. Cats are emotional barometers, masters at detecting atmospheric tension long before we are conscious of it. When your voice becomes tender, their posture becomes fluid. When your breathing decelerates, their whiskers unclump. When you lower yourself to the floor instead of looming over them, their tails hoist just a fraction higher. Every single one of these nuanced responses demonstrates that your cat is not reacting to a glossary, but to the emotional steadiness backing it. Reflect for a second on the last occasion your cat came to you without being summoned. Perhaps you were reading silently. Perhaps you were zoning out, lost in thought. Maybe you barely whispered their name, and they materialized instantly. That was not a fluke. That was trust in motion. Cats return to locations where they feel secure, and your voice can evolve into one of those locations when you speak with purpose. If you have ever questioned why your cat sometimes disregards you and other times does not, the solution isn't a riddle. It is emotional timing. This is where the sorcery of repetition truly manifests. When you employ the same welcoming terms during tranquil moments, never hurried, never agitated, you are instructing your cat in a private emotional dialect that belongs exclusively to the two of you. As time passes, these instances crystallize into a pattern in your cat's psyche. Approaching you results in serenity, love, and predictability. Cats adore predictability. They flourish when routines feel solid and when your voice adheres to the same soothing cadence day in and day out. Even if your cat appears aloof, they hunger for the reassurance of consistent signals. Have you noticed how your cat reacts more swiftly at night when the household is hushed and the world feels gentler? That is because your voice distinguishes itself more crisply in peaceful settings, reinforcing the emotional fiber connecting you. So, as you practice come and hear, remind yourself, you are not training an animal. You are deepening a bond that communicates far beyond language itself. The words of bond and affection. Before we press on, let me leave you with a hushed reflection. There is a word, soft, delicate, nearly whispered, that your cat identifies more profoundly than any other. Not because it guarantees a meal or a scratch behind the ears, but because it mirrors something primordial and instinctive within them. When you finally grasp why this word carries such weight, your entire connection with your cat will start to feel beautifully metamorphosed. The bond words, the ones that mean love. Have you ever murmured something sweet to your cat and observed them reply in a manner that felt slightly magical? Perhaps they swiveled their head, blinked lazily, or approached with that soft, confident trot reserved solely for moments of intimacy. Those responses are not accidents. They are emotional memories. The next two words on our list tap straight into that quiet emotional universe cats so rarely exposed to the world. Before we jump in, I want you to tell me something in the comments. What is the gentlest nickname you have for your cat? I will be reading and replying because these anecdotes build a beautiful community of cat admirers learning in unison. Now, get comfortable, breathe deeply, and let's investigate what these loving words truly signify to your feline friend. Cats might appear self-sufficient, but at their center, they forge attachments as profound as any social creature. They do not depend on sentences to comprehend love. They depend on emotional patterns. When you speak to your cat lovingly, particularly during quiet intervals, that sound gets filed in their brain as an emblem of safety. Number 3, sweetie. Our next word is one that the majority of cat parents have likely used without recognizing its understated strength. Sweetie. Sweetie is not an order. It is a tone, plush, fawn, melodic. Cats love rhythm, and sweetie possesses a gentle undulation that mimics the chirps and trills queen cats make to their litters. Soft vowels, warm vibration, and a steady emotional backdrop. When you utilize sweetie, your speech naturally decelerates. You inadvertently soften your timbre, and cats read that softening instantaneously. In numerous studies, cats demonstrated heightened responsiveness to owner-affiliative speech, the feline parallel to baby talk, and affectionate nicknames land squarely in that zone. When your cat hears sweetie, they aren't processing the definition. They are understanding you. They feel your composure, your intent, your fondness. To render this word even more potent, use it during pockets of peace rather than high-energy play. Whisper it while your cat is resting beside you, grooming, or observing you silently. Over time, they will link the acoustic signature with comfort. Attempt saying sweetie tonight accompanied by a slow blink. You may spot your cat blinking back, one of the most authentic indicators of trust. And I want to know, does your cat react when you use pet names? Tell me in the comments. I will answer. Number 4, baby. Now let's transition to something even more universal. A word nearly every human employs without realizing how emotionally charged it is to a cat. Baby. Baby carries a tenderness that cats instinctively acknowledge. Even if you don't aim to, your voice naturally slides into a calmer register when you articulate this word. And here is a captivating fact grounded in genuine behavioral science. Cats do not listen to the literal audio. They listen to the emotional temperature. Words uttered during tranquil moments leave deeper emotional grooves than words spoken during rushed or anxious times. Baby is almost exclusively used during affection, when stroking, cuddling, or marveling at your cat's cuteness. That consistency generates what researchers label an affiliative cue. It means your cat hears that noise and immediately retrieves a familiar emotional setting. If you have ever noted your cat coming to you faster when you speak quietly or sugary, this is the reason. Their brain isn't decoding a glossary. It is recognizing emotional predictability. Try saying baby in a warm tone while sitting on the floor and lightly patting your leg. You might witness your cat reply with a lifted tail or soft chirps, minute signs of fondness that expose how deeply they trust your proximity. These loving words are significant because they construct a bridge between your reality and your cat's. You aren't teaching a trick. You are weaving a soft, emotional tapestry that makes them feel safe in choosing you. And that word, choice, is everything. Cats do not come when called because they are obedient. They come because they feel pulled by the emotional memory your voice transports. Every time you whisper, sweetie, or baby, you reinforce that memory by one more slender thread. Think for a second. How many times has your cat come close when you didn't call them at all? They felt your calmness. They felt your silence. They sensed a soft pocket in the room and walked toward it. That is precisely how these two affectionate words operate. Not by drilling, not by prizes, but by emotional resonance. Cats are far more tuned into us than we assume. Studies demonstrate they identify their owners' voices even when spoken neutrally. But when we speak affectionately, something more profound occurs. Their ears rotate, their pupils dilate and soften, their respiration slows. These are the symptoms of a cat that feels secure, heard, and emotionally linked. And the more regularly you employ these tender, loving words, the more probable your cat will be to approach you, not just when summoned, but on their own accord, because your presence feels like a familiar comfort. If you are listening to this thinking, my cat is too aloof, I don't think this applies to them, I want you to attempt something simple this evening. Sit in silence. Say sweetie in a low tone. Do not move. Do not reach out. Just speak delicately and observe. Even the most reserved cats react to consistent softness. You might spot an ear tilt, a head lift, or a minor adjustment in stance. Those subtle signs are emotional recognition. It isn't about making your cat obey. It's about allowing them to come to you on their own timeline, with their own confidence. And please, share your experience in the comments. Seriously, I am here reading everything because your stories help mold future videos and assist thousands of other cat parents in understanding their companions better. The word of motivation and instinct. Now, as you let these two affectionate words settle into your relationship, there is something else you should contemplate. There is a word, one you have probably used countless times, that your cat responds to not because it is sweet or emotional, but because it awakens something instinctive, ancient, and deeply motivating within them. It triggers something even the most independent cats cannot resist. Once you understand why this word works so vigorously, you will see your cat in a completely new light the very next time you say it. The motivation word, the one they never ignore. Have you ever watched your cat switch from completely disinterested to instantly alert? Ears perked, tail twitching, eyes expanded, because of a very specific sound you produced? It feels almost supernatural when it occurs, like you accidentally tripped a secret switch inside their brain. Today we are diving into the one word that activates that switch more reliably than almost anything else. Before we start, tell me in the comments, what is the one word that instantly snags your cat's attention? I want to read your story and reply because these little patterns are what knit this entire community of cat lovers together. Now take a breath, settle into the moment, and let's explore what makes this next word not just powerful, but deeply rooted in your cat's natural instincts. Cats are incredibly intelligent, but their intelligence doesn't function like ours. They aren't analyzing complex syntax. What they detect are signals, small sounds that forecast outcomes, patterns that repeat, and emotional consistency that forms a map of safety in their minds. Some words rise above all others because they have been unintentionally reinforced by hundreds of tiny, everyday moments. This brings us straight to the next word on our list, a word almost every cat recognizes instantly, even if they feign ignorance. Number 5. Treat. Treat is one of the most effective words in a cat's emotional vocabulary, and not because cats understand its literal definition. The real reason goes much deeper: associative memory. Cats are experts at linking sounds with results. If the sound treat has ever been followed by something pleasant, even once, they file away that connection. But if it has been followed dozens or hundreds of times, the emotional pathway becomes incredibly robust. Research on feline cognition shows that cats are highly sensitive to reliable cues, signals that consistently lead to the same positive result. And the sound treat is one of the most unambiguous cues a cat can receive. The moment you articulate it, you will often see microreactions. Whiskers shift forward, ears swivel toward you, paws lift from the floor, tails flick with interest. These tiny physical responses show that your cat is mentally tracking the possibility of a reward. But here is what many people get wrong. Treat isn't powerful because of the food. It is powerful because of certainty. Cats love predictability. Your tone is predictable. Your behavior is predictable. And the outcome, whether it is food, affection, or attention, feels reassuring. When cats feel safe with you, they respond more readily. Treat becomes a tiny promise. Come closer, something good is waiting. Now here is where it gets interesting, and you can try this at home tonight. If you say treat with a soft rising tone and follow it with a social reward instead of food, your cat will still come. Why? Because the emotional association is stronger than the caloric intake. Petting, a soothing voice, slow blinks. These things activate the same comfort pathways in a cat's brain. So don't worry about overusing food. You can replace it with affection once the sound pattern is established. Have you ever noticed your cat sprinting toward the sound of a bag rustling, even if it isn't the treat bag? That is how powerful associative memory is. Cats connect the sound, the rhythm, the energy, and the emotional context, not just the physical object. Tell me in the comments if your cat recognizes the sound of the snack cabinet opening. I want to see how many of us have cats who materialize out of thin air at the exact same moment every day. But treat also teaches us something about how cats think. They aren't obeying the word. They are responding to the emotional contract you created, piece by piece, moment by moment. Every time you said treat and something good followed, you built trust. And that trust becomes the invisible string that draws them toward you. If you have ever felt proud when your cat came running because you said one specific word, you should be. It means you have been building a relationship more profound than you realized. Now let's move a bit deeper into what makes cats so responsive to certain sounds. Cats are incredibly tuned to patterns. They memorize the smallest consistencies, the way you speak, the way your footsteps sound, the rhythm of your morning routine. It isn't the word alone that matters. It is everything wrapped around it. When you say a familiar word in a familiar tone during a familiar moment, your cat experiences emotional continuity. That is the real engine behind communication with cats. Think about how your cat behaves at feeding time. They don't respond to the food itself at first. They respond to the sequence, the sound of the drawer, the movement of the bowl, the tone of your voice. Cats are masters of routine reading, and the word treat becomes part of that routine, part of the comfortable pattern that forms their world. Now imagine using this same principle with positive affection rather than food. You can turn almost any gentle word into a cue for closeness if you pair it with emotional safety. Tonight, try sitting on the floor, speaking softly, and inviting your cat with a familiar word. Then, watch the magic happen. It may not be dramatic, but every tiny step your cat takes toward you is a step built on trust. And trust is the foundation of every deep feline-human bond. When we talk about words that bring your cat closer, it is never about obedience. It is about resonance, your voice, your warmth, your calmness weaving a consistent rhythm in your cat's emotional world. Cats don't want to obey. They want to feel understood. They want to feel safe choosing you. And that brings us into a deeper emotional truth. Cats come not because they must, but because they want to. Because your presence makes sense to them. Because your voice is a place where nothing bad ever happens. Because your tone has become a soft home inside the noise of everyday life. So as you experiment with the word treat, pay attention not just to whether your cat comes, but how they come. Do they trot? Do they blink? Do they tilt their head? All these little signs reveal how they feel about you. And I would love for you to share those reactions in the comments. I truly read everything. The word of ancient reassurance. But now, before we move forward, I want to leave you with a thought that may surprise you. There is a final word, simple, gentle, almost whispered, that your cat responds to not because of reward, not because of routine, and not because of excitement, but because it touches something ancient inside them. A word that carries emotional weight stronger than any nickname or promise of food. And once you understand why that word works so deeply, you will never look at your cat the same way again. The word that tells them they are safe with you. If you have ever looked at your cat and wondered why they trust you, why they choose you over every hiding spot, every shadowy corner, every quiet room, know that they come because of moments, not commands. They come because of the emotional history woven into your voice. And today, we reach the final word on our list, the softest and most powerful one of all. Before we reveal it, tell me in the comments, what is the most comforting thing your cat does to show you they trust you? I want to read your stories because they aren't just adorable. They help us all understand the emotional world our cats live in. This last word is different from all the others. It doesn't promise food. It doesn't sound cute. It doesn't carry a playful melody. Instead, it carries something deeper: approval, peace, reassurance. Every cat in the world, no matter how independent, craves one thing above all: emotional stability. And this word taps directly into their instinctive need to know that everything is okay. Settle in, take a quiet breath, and let's explore the final piece of this emotional puzzle. Cats are deeply perceptive creatures. They understand tone far more than content. They read our moods with precision through our posture, our energy, even the rhythm of our breathing. When you say a word that carries emotional warmth, you aren't just speaking. You are communicating safety. And safety is the foundation of feline trust. It is what allows them to relax their tail, soften their gaze, stretch out beside you, or curl into your lap without hesitation. And that is exactly what this final word represents. When you speak this word, especially in moments of calm connection, you are sending an invisible message to your cat, one that feels ancient, instinctive, and universally comforting. It is a word every kitten learns through tone from their mother, a word that tells them, you are okay, you are safe, you are loved here. That emotional translation is why it works so powerfully. Number 6, good. The word is good. Simple, soft, almost whispered, and yet it carries more emotional weight than most cat owners ever realize. Cats don't understand praise the way dogs do. They don't look for approval in the same way, but they do understand tone. They do understand softness. They do understand that some sounds mean comfort and others don't. Good has a shape that cats instinctively respond to, a low, warm vowel and a gentle ending that feels like a soft exhale. When you say it with warmth, your cat senses something familiar, something that echoes the way mother cats reassure their kittens with gentle vocalizations and rhythmic sounds. Not literal words, of course, but the emotional equivalent. The secret is in how you use it. Cats respond to emotional consistency. If good is something you say only in peaceful, affectionate moments, petting sessions, bedtime cuddles, morning routines, your cat begins to associate that sound with complete safety. They begin to feel that this simple word marks the absence of threat and the presence of calm. And that is a sensation cats seek constantly. Try this tonight. Sit beside your cat, touch them gently, or simply let your presence fill the space and whisper good in a soft tone. Watch their reaction. You might see slow blinking. You might see a tail tip twitching gently. Maybe your cat will lean into your touch or press their head against your hand. These are signs you have reached the core of their emotional trust. The beauty of good is that it doesn't need to be loud. In fact, the quieter it is, the more cats lean into it. They respond to calm energy. They respond to gentle tone. They respond to your peaceful presence. This word works not because it is meaningful in a human sense, but because your cat attaches it to moments of tranquility, and cats are drawn to tranquility like magnets. And here is something remarkable. Even the most independent cats respond to this word when it is used with consistency. A cat who ignores commands may still turn toward you when they hear good, not out of obedience, but because the word signals a moment of emotional harmony. They want to be near you because your voice has become a place of peace. Think about all the times your cat approached you during moments of calm, when you were reading, resting, thinking, or simply existing quietly. In those moments, you weren't calling them. You weren't offering food. You weren't asking for attention. You were just yourself. And that was enough. That is what good represents to them. A gentle invitation, a warm emotional memory, a familiar tone wrapped in safety. Cats come to the people who make them feel grounded. They come to voices that carry softness. They come to routines that stay predictable. When you use good, you are reinforcing all of those things at once. It becomes more than a word. It becomes a signal that the world is gentle, calm, and safe. Now imagine combining the power of good with the earlier words, sweetie, here, come, baby, treat. Together, they create a small emotional vocabulary that your cat learns through experience, not meaning. And each time you speak them with intention, you are building a richer emotional bond. You are telling your cat, in a language they deeply understand, I am safe. You are safe. And this moment is ours. Conclusion. Before we close, I want to ask you something from the heart. Tonight, choose just one of these words and use it gently, softly, without expectation. Watch how your cat responds. Watch how their body shifts. Watch how their eyes soften. Every tiny reaction is a piece of proof that your cat understands far more than anyone gives them credit for. And if you notice anything special, share it in the comments. I truly read everything, and your experience might help another cat parent strengthen their bond too. These 6 words are not magic spells. They are emotional anchors. They work because they align your tone, your presence, and your love into something your cat can understand. And when you use them consistently, when you speak with kindness, gentleness, and intention, your cat begins to see you as something precious, a source of calm in their world. And now, if this video helped you understand your cat a little better, in a way that feels soft, comforting, and personal, consider subscribing and leaving a like. Not for the channel, but for you. So you never miss the chance to keep deepening this beautiful bond with your cat, one gentle word at a time.